Once you get to that point where you feel very unhappy with what you're doing, you know that you're there. Because if I ask you now, I can experiment, and I'm doing that with my kids, and I'll share the results maybe in a few years or in a few months. I ask them from when they turn 5, what do you want to do? A few of them have been consistent for almost 10 years, my older kids. The others sway depending on what's new, how they're feeling. And that just tells you that who are you then at 25 not to feel different the next day. It's okay to leave and start over again. It's not failing, it's actually being assertive about what you want. So don't be scared to fail. Think about what will really make you happy. Research all the jobs out there, but don't look at the roles, look at what it entails. Look at how you can get there and start over. Don't just run into a degree. Think about that. Think out of the box. Think future. Do you often feel very unhappy with your career choice? Not just your job, your whole career choice of why you go to work every day. Does it feel like work is a chore and you're too scared, too unhappy, and stuck in this blame of why in the first place you did the degree that you did? You start looking for family members to blame, pressure from relatives. If you're from African or Asian origin, most times we tend to do what our parents ask us to do. I did a separate video about this. If it makes you feel any better, most people, in fact most people at work, statistics will show that about 45-50% of people, or even more depending on the countries, are very unhappy with what they do for a living. But they get on with it. Life is so hectic as it is, so they don't even have the time to reflect and think about doing anything else, and you become like a robot. But once you get to that point where you start questioning yourself even more, when I say even more, to the point that you might actually quit your job, that's when you know that you have almost gotten to the point of no return. I am saying this because one question that we all ask is, how do I make sure that I find the right career choice for me? And it seems late that a lot of us think about this when we are older, but I don't think there's any easier way I can say this. I believe that that's the way it's meant to be. I believe that when you are younger, you don't even have the experience, you don't even know what it is that you would want to do. You have to try and test and fail and maybe succeed till you get what your purpose is. And naturally, that's why people start questioning themselves around 30, mid-30s, late 30s, 40s, and people are changing their careers a lot older now, with no fear of being judged, with no issue to agree that they failed, and wanting to start afresh. I'm an example. I have not taken the leap that quickly yet, but I'm at that space now where I know that I'm worth more. Not because my job was beneath me, no, the pay was good. It's really finding your purpose. It doesn't mean that finding your purpose has to be to do with, you know, talking on camera or whatever. No. Everybody has that one career that A might not like. For example, nursing. It's one of those noble careers that you do for love. Teaching, similar. Being a doctor, just being in a hospital or welfare environment. The people who do this for a passion. Others might do it and make videos and talk about how, you know, the nursing career made them not sleep, you know, doing nights. Every good job for one person could be a nightmare for the next. But people who are lucky to find their purpose early on, lucky people. But most of us will try different things. Just ask yourself this question: when you were 15, when you were 20, when you're 25, did you think the way you thought now? Let me talk about myself. I always like to, because I keep saying that you can only learn and give back from experience. I hate to call them mistakes, but you can call them whatever you want to call them. Sorry, I'll be taking a pause to drink because I've been shooting a few videos. Like you already know, if you've seen the video before this one, this is exactly what I wore because I batch film on a particular day, and it's one of those days today. I mostly drink myself brewed leaves. This is calendula and gotu kola. It's just really, you know, herbal teas to make sure that I'm in the most healthy version of myself. And yeah, sorry, just thought I'll give you guys a bit of a break and get my Let's talk about how to ensure that you're in the right career choice. I don't think there's any answer that you'll want to hear, but what I want to say, just hear me out, is most of you guys who watch me are Africans from African origin, some Asians, some Caucasians, but in our culture, we don't go for jobs out of love. No, never. Who gives you the chance? We go for money because we come from a place of want. We come from a place sometimes of poverty, of deprivation, or just of lack. So because of that, you tend to get a job that pays well. In fact, most people just go down and say, what is the highest paid job? And they go for that. No problem. Young, do that. Make the money first, because if you don't have money, you cannot even think straight. So that's fine. If you have the brains, go for a job. Everybody knows I can search now what are the highest paid jobs, and I look at a neurosurgeon or an astrophysicist, whatever, and I think I've not got the brains, and I'll go down the list till I think it suits me. So by all means, look for a job at the beginning of your life, because every job is a new experience and every experience is a lesson learned. So I'll say that if you're watching this and you don't know how to find a job, don't just look for a job. Understand what the job means. For me, when I was about 15, 16, I had a lady who I admired so much back then. In fact, two people from two different professions. The first was an air hostess where we lived. This is back home now. I was young, and there was this woman who was very elegant. She was very slim, very slender, always traveled. And I've always known that I like to travel. It's never been a secret. And she always traveled. She had dressed special. And I asked once, and I heard she was an air hostess. Ooh, I thought that sounds good. She looks good. She appears good. And then I traveled like a kid a lot. I remember them just looking so elegant in their outfits, and I was just thinking, I want to be one. When I got to understand later on in life, I have a few friends that have done that for years, and when I travel, I chat with them. I chat to people I meet every day to learn from them, and they talk about the effect of radiography, the rays of the sun, of being on air, high latitude for so many years, and what that does to their living standards or their health long term. And they were not really happy with the choices and how much they were paid with the risk. Obviously, if you're flying, every time you're flying, it could be a risk of a crash. Just being on your feet for hours, serving people food, accepting all sorts from unhappy customers. When I understood the nitty-gritties that came with the territory, I kind of backtracked and I thought, thank God I didn't do it. The other person I really loved were journalists on TV. I just found the whole TV thing amazing because I like to talk to people. I don't think that it's something that I will not like now, to be honest, but there's other sides of journalism that I would not really want. One, I stuttered like a child. I used to stammer. That's why I talk really fast. I was really slow, because if I want to talk normal, it's hard to understand. I didn't realize that I had this problem when I was younger, and journalism might have been an issue. And then again, suddenly I wanted to be a nanny because I loved kids. But every year or every decade, my thought changed. So when I came here, after doing my degree, and I realized I was on a dead end, I didn't share this part in my initial video. So if you've not watched my initial videos and how I started sharing my life, was because I got to a point where my life crashed. I felt like I'd failed and I had no way out, and I shared my story coming to the UK and how I got myself where I was. If you want to see that video, I'll pin it somewhere at the end. But I didn't talk about the part where I wanted to go into pharmacy. I decided to go into pharmacy at some point in my mid-20s. I spoke to a lot of people. 9 out of 10 people I spoke to were Africans, and out of that number, only one person supported me. If she ever watches it, she'll know who she is. She said, my God, I have an auntie who is in her 40s and she's just gone to the US to start training to be a pharmacist. Do it, you can do it. But everybody else were like, what? You want to go? How long? You're 20. I think I was 25. I just had my son. I don't think you should do. Specialize. Look for something within economics that you did and do it. Just go for a course. Do another master's. Do an MBA. Everybody said, why? You want to spend money? How much is the fees? But people... And I did not do it. I don't know if I would have coped now, but I think I might have. But it just tells you the culture now. I talked about our cultural difference because in certain parts of the world, when they decide to do a job, they do it out of love because they don't have the financial pressures that we have. Most of us watching this will say, I ended up being a doctor, a lawyer, a pharmacist, or an engineer, or something really high up in society, like the norms, because my parents did. And not only Africans, even South Americans. I have worked with a lot of South American companies, South Americans who were into things like real estate, especially lawyers. And every time I was on the phone with somebody, they'll say, oh, this is Rodriguez Jr., Felipe Jr., XXX. There's like 7 generations of solicitors, of lawyers, because they have junior in their names. And if you know any culture that has junior, it's because they want to pass down what they've done, what they've educated, what they've trained to their kids. So it's not just us Africans, it's generally a thing. That's why they like the boy kids. So it's an issue that spans across different cultures, and it's a human feeling that you want your child to do what you want them to do, even if you didn't manage to make it. So you will do that, okay? And then you get to that point where your mind tells you, your body says, this is not my purpose. I can be making 6 figures, even 7 figures, and I'm still unhappy. And that's when you know that you might have found your purpose. Everybody gets to that point and you ask yourself, why am I in this career? And once you find your purpose, if you're lucky, you're watching this and you found yours, good on you. I am still looking for mine. I'm very close to get to a point where I feel I found it, but the purpose could be in anything. And that's the difference with most of us, that I'm beginning to feel like my purpose has always been to impact people in a way from my experiences and talking to people. There are others who would not even want to say a word to others in camera, but they want to help behind the scenes. There are certain professions that, as I mentioned before, things like teachers, like doctors, like nurses, like psychiatrists, like counselors who have a passion for helping people. There are others that will still help people in an indirect way, and then that's their purpose. So there's no reason to shy away from what your purpose is the day it comes knocking open. So the thing that I'll say is, please don't just capitalize on how sexy or how exciting a role or a job title or a career. Understand what it entails. And the other thing that I'll say to find your ideal or to find the right career is, do not think now. Think the future. If you're watching this video now, think about the future. Where are we heading to? AI has taken over the world. There are certain jobs that I will not advise anybody to go into, because in a few years you'll be out of work. Even factory work that people thought it was indispensable, people are doing it because we have robots who have done it. Delivery, people will start delivering parcels in your back garden soon. They've already started doing it at a certain place where you order food and somebody delivers it. So there's a lot. Think futuristic. Nobody knew that coaching could be a thing one day where people make thousands, 7 figures and all sorts. Another thing that you can also think of as well is the non-conventional jobs that we did not know about, like influencing, social media managers, web designers. There are a lot of things. So think about the future. Where are we heading to? What are the things that are popping up now more, and how can you use your brain? That's why I will talk about self-improvement, self-education, adding value, because what you have in your brain is what you can use to even feed these robots. So think about the experiences that you have now and how that will be relevant in a few years, especially the younger people coming up. Again, if you're young, you cannot predict what happens tomorrow, but you can at least start thinking in that direction, out of the box. And another thing is, even if you are in this wrong job and you know about what you want, don't just quit your job. You can start working towards that with the skill, with the training, with the education that you need. It doesn't have to be a full-fledged degree. Please don't make that mistake that a lot of us have made. We just like to keep studying and keep studying. You know, when I talk about our culture, people in North America whose parents will say, what do you want to do? And they say, I want to be a dog walker or a groomer. You want to groom dogs, or like, oh, that's so nice, or at least you give these dogs a good quality of life. If you mention that to your African or your Asian family, they'll think that they'll take you to check that your head is still okay. That doesn't sound okay. Who is making you? The devil has got into the family. What is the meaning of that? We want to be playing with dogs for a living? That's how they'll think. So we have to understand where we're coming from. And when you break loose, that's what most people start finding their purpose about 40. Most of these videos of people getting on social media, even social media, just creating content is another thing, right? It's a source of income for a lot of people. So many people in their 40s and 50s are getting restless, are unhappy what they've been doing, they feel like they're stuck, and they are beginning to let loose. It's really because of the way the world is going. And if you get to that point of thinking, I am so unhappy, then go back to the drawing board and think about what you enjoy doing. And don't just end there. Think about, sorry, my tea is getting cold. Think about not just what the role will entail. Think about being at the top of this ideal job. The top of your ideal job could be, if you love to say, even in my field, supply chain management, I had always had a goal to become, say, a chief operating officer or top executive roles. The reason why I cannot really say that I have been in a very wrong career the whole time, because the experience that I've had for almost 15 years in the field is amazing, and it builds more of the skills that I have today to do my real passion. Because I was working with suppliers, building relationship is basically going to a meeting, having a nice chat, maybe over a meal or at work, and just making sure the relationship is sweet. Not everybody has that skill to build a relationship. Not everybody has that skill to get engaged in a conversation. One of the strongest things are people's skills. When I'm ever interviewing for people within my role, I'll look for, how do you engage? How do you make eye contact? Are you able to bring a conversation from nothing? Those are all things that you have to look about. And I'm thinking, if I keep going up the ladder, do I get to a point where I stop doing the things that I actually don't like about my job? Because no job can be 100%. The part I don't like about my present job, for example, was the paperwork. Will you get to the point where I have a PA and I just get on with it? That will spur you to either educate or enhance what you've got to get to the optimum part. Do I need particular training to get there? Maybe you do, and there's a lot of online. So to answer the question in a nutshell of how to choose the right career is, once you get to that point where you feel very unhappy with what you're doing, you know that you're there. Because if I ask you now, I can experiment, and I'm doing that with my kids, and I'll share the results maybe in a few years or in a few months. I ask them all the time. I have 4 kids, and I ask them from when they turn 5, what do you want to do? A few of them have been consistent for almost 10 years, my older kids. The others sway depending on what's new, how they're feeling. And that just tells you that who are you then at 25 not to feel different the next day. It's okay to leave and start over again. It's not failing, it's actually being assertive about what you want. So don't be scared to fail. Think about what will really make you happy. Research all the jobs out there, but don't look at the roles, look at what it entails. Look at how you can get there and start over. Don't just run into a degree. Think about that. Think out of the box. Think future. I hope that I've answered this question. I know that it's not a direct answer, but I just thought I'll share based on just me thinking, being in a low place, wanting to change careers. I'm having all these thoughts, but the bottom line is find your purpose. A lot of us, some people know their purpose is, but they cannot live in it because of life, because of the cost of living, just because of what it entails to be an adult, bills to pay. Does it pay you immediately? Can you do it by the side? Do you want to work for yourself? Those are all questions that you ask yourself, but you will need to try, make mistakes, and know what you're good at. Once you find what you're good at and it's your purpose, you're a lucky human being. Thanks, and I hope that you found this useful. If you did, let me know. Put a comment and tell me exactly what other points you'll add about finding your purpose. Are you lucky enough to be one of the few people who have found their purpose in life? Please share with us, and I'll see you in my next video. As always, if you enjoy this and you want to see more, let me know what topics. Give us a like and consider subscribing. Let's interact in the comment section. Thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.